So after we have done with partial fraction, the next part we'll be talking about is integration type 5, where we're actually going to integrate to get an inverse trigo. So in differentiation, we have learned how to differentiate sine inverse. Differentiation of sine inverse x over a will give me 1 over square root a squared minus x squared. So likewise, when we learn how to integrate, we will get back to sine inverse x over a. Okay, this is your MF26, so there's no need for you to memorize it. Okay, however, for this portion over here is not in a MF26, so please take note of the formula. Okay, instead of a squared minus fx squared, what happened is that this is fx. A squared minus x squared is a squared minus fx squared. So I need an f prime x on top. Okay, such that will give me sine inverse fx over a. Okay, I'm going to run through with you the formula so it will be a lot clearer for you. Okay, so example 1 here. Okay, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put it into the form where I'm more familiarized with. Okay, so it's 3 squared minus 2x squared. Okay, take note over here, you do realize that your fx here is actually equal to 2x, so f prime x will be equal to 2, which means that you need a 2 on top of your numerator. So I'm going to introduce half such that I have a 2 on top. Okay, once I have this, okay, I'm going to start integrating. Okay, the formula will then be half sine inverse. Okay, the half remains. Okay, fx over a such that it's going to be 2x over 3 plus c. This is method 1. Okay, some school actually teach method 2. Generally, I will leave it up to you whether you prefer method 1 or do you prefer method 2. I will prefer method 1 because I can actually play with a lot of variation, whereas fx is actually in terms of exponential, in terms of x squared, where you actually can't really use the first formula. Second formula rather. Okay, so I'm going to show you the second formula. They are very, very similar, just that, okay, I'm going to bring out the coefficient of your x squared. In this case, your coefficient of x squared is 4. So I'm going to bring it out. Okay, so further write it down. You're going to square root 4, 9 over 4 minus x squared. Okay, so 1 over root 4 will be half. Okay, I will get into this form. Okay, the method here is actually to make it into something like your MF26 over here. So it's in terms of a squared minus x squared. So your fx, instead of fx, it will always be x squared. And then in this case, your a will be 3 over 2. Okay, so if I actually quickly write out the formula, essentially you'll give me half sine inverse, okay, x over a. Okay, so in this case, it will be x over 3 over 2 plus c. Okay, if I further simplify, it should give me the same result of 3x over 2 plus c. Okay, so take note, both will derive the same answer. Okay, however, they are doing slightly different kind of methods. Okay, one method is to make sure that you can understand, use your MF26 formula. Another one is to use the f prime x formula, which is not in the MF26. So choose a method that you prefer and stick to it. Okay, second one, okay, is actually part 2 here. Okay, so do you realize that the denominator square root is in terms of 4 plus 2x minus x squared? Okay, so what I need to do is I need to go and complete the square for this. Okay, so if you can quickly calculate out, okay, 4 plus 2x minus x squared essentially should give you 5 minus x minus 1 squared. Of course, let's keep the working. You should go and do up the completing the square formula such that you can actually get into what I actually get over here. Okay, once I've done this, basically, I'm supposed to integrate this. Okay, so after I complete the square, it's going to look like this. So 5 minus x minus 1 square. Okay, so this will essentially give me root 5 square minus x minus 1 square. Okay, you realize that this, you won't be able to use the second formula, which is making the x square formula. So you have to somehow or other still use the fx formula. Okay, and you realize that since f prime x will be 1, there's no need for me to introduce anything. So this will give me sine inverse x minus 1 over root 5 plus c. Okay, this is the formula here. Okay, similar to part 3, you have to use the f prime x formula. So I'm just going to write part 3 answer here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the working for you. Okay, but essentially your part 3 answer should be half sine inverse x squared minus 1 divided by 4 plus c. Alright, if you can't get an answer, feel free to WhatsApp me if you're my student. Okay, if not, do check your completing the square as well. Okay, so your completing the square should look something like that. So 15 plus 2x squared minus x to the power 4 should give you 60 minus x squared minus 1 squared. Okay, if you can't visualize, I will generally let y be equal to x squared. So you can actually complete the square very easily. Okay, so one more thing before I end off this part. Okay, the reason why I will have to use sign inverse is you realize that I can't actually use the second formula that we learned, or rather it's actually the first formula. I can't actually use f prime x, fx to the power of n. Okay, even though it's a 1 over square root, which is to the power of minus half, we realize that there's no way I can actually do a f prime x in front. Likewise, I actually mentioned before in the video, we don't introduce a variable outside. Hence, we can't actually use this formula, okay? Which made me look for my inverse trigo. So take note, we always look at this formula first before we think of other formula for me to use.